Diary entry. Lauren, age 31, 42 Aurora cycles after episode 1. The journey is closing, a book shut, a lantern snuffed. I think of them first, always them. Con, who wanted to wander wide walls of wonder, who I hoped would lose herself in the puzzle, only to find herself again in the answer. She did. Jon, who wanted to taste battle and burn with the spice in the story, to carry retellings like trophies, holding danger and delight in his palm. He did. Kyle, who wanted to be met by characters that felt real enough to bleed, but gentle enough not to wound. A book that opened itself without warning signs. He did. I keep circling back. Did I give them what they needed, or did I only borrow their joy to feel it myself? And when their pages are full, what is left in mine? Perhaps nothing. Perhaps everything. I don't know yet. Did I say something wrong? Why are you laughing at me? Welcome back to Between Pages and Friends, a book club podcast hosted by Con and Lauren, two besties who read a lot of books, and Jon and Kyle, their gamer-turned-reader husbands who've agreed to read with them. Hi, I'm Lauren.
I'm Con.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Jon. You're listening to episode 6 of the Moonfall series by Sarah A. Parker. Today we're talking through When the Moon Hatched, chapter 79, to the end, people. Son of a... The end, people. This is not a drill. Hope the kids didn't wake up. Anyway, this is a book club style podcast, and while typically there would be no spoilers for future chapters, we had to end a book, y'all, so make sure you have finished all of When the Moon Hatched before tuning into this episode.
Yes, but before we dive in, quick content alert. This ain't your granny's book club, yo! Unless your granny's cool. When the Moon Hatched is an adult fantasy, and we talk about it in all of its adult glory. Expect some steaminess and unfiltered... well, anything, really. Earbuds on, innocence off.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Do you like us, love us? Want some more of us? Join our Patreon. For just $5 a month, you can be a book bestie and gain access to our Discord, plus monthly book talks, live hangs, and plenty of extra fun. But maybe you're not just here for fun. Maybe you're here to ascend. For $10 a month, you can join our Found Family tier and get access to early ad-free episodes, shiny merch discounts, exclusive Discord chats, voting power, and unlimited breadsticks. We'd love to get to know you more on our Patreon.
All of this wouldn't be possible without all of the amazing friends we've made since the start, or the ratings and reviews you give us, like this 5-star review on Apple Podcasts from our old friend Brazil, titled, "Nobody Asked You, Patrice!" I found out about you guys in the Fantasy Fangirls podcast collab video a while back. I loved the vibe you guys came with, so I thought I'd check it out, and you guys did not disappoint. I was so excited when I went to your channel on YouTube and saw you were doing Quicksilver. I caught up so quickly, and lucky for me, you guys had already posted other videos of books that I had already read, so I immediately went and watched those too. My goodness. I am a book girly, but I have no friends that are book girlies like me. So finding this podcast is like finding 4 new friends. Every single one of you brings something special to the podcast that's made it one of a kind. It's a great thing to look forward to each week. I also love the references you guys make to TV shows. They're the best. I'm happy I found you guys. So excited for the next book reveal. Thank you so much, Brazil.
Oh, thanks, Brazil.
Nice.
Brazil.
Love you too. You are our bestie.
So sweet. Well, this is it. Con's final declassified fantasy pronunciation guide for When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. This is, of course, the part of the show where we highlight all the new names and places mentioned in this chapter section. In places, we have Ovadon, the city that straddles the border between the Fade and the Burn. This is neutral territory, home to the Tri-Council Citadel. The Velvet Snog. This is the bar visits. 10 out of 10 name. The Pits of Kindard. This is where Rave/Slatra fought as Firelark. And then in characters, we have the Scavenger King, aka Arkin Vagor, Brune and Colette, 2 of the armed guards Con speaks to in chapter 83. Leary is the Moonplume Wreck abused and Rave ended up bonding with. I meant that metaphorically when I typed it, but maybe also literally bonded with? Question mark.
Yeah.
Great.
Calcify.
Calcify. Awesome. And then Taros is one of the shade emissaries from Erythia, and Bruce is Taros's molten maw Rek was planning on bonding with before he died. R.I.P. Ada is the name of the Erythian servant Vea disguised herself as. And then lastly, in world building, we have blood laces, which are folk who can detect or test bloodlines, and gorsy grass, which is used as a sedative. And now here to give you the final chaotic chapter recap of When the Moon Hatched. It's your boy Juan.
Thanks, my girl Quan. Shaquan. We start with Eloen and another diary entry. King Ostern has returned with Tyrock and Kadith. Nice. King Ostern has returned with Tyroth and Kadok. They have a feast where Eloen is veiled and silent, made to eat whatever is provided for her. She notices Vea is silent at the table. Ostern really going in on her here, earning a tear from Vea, and Eloen snaps, ripping off her veil, climbing on the table, marching to the other end for a Kulk steak. Tyroth and Ostern beside themselves. Ostern announces that Khan and Vea will be traveling to a village after the flirt, to everyone's surprise. Khan and Eloen spend that time in the hideaway home, and we're back with Rave, fresh off a double-digit dolloping, if you know what I mean. As Khan prepares some food for them, he asks her if she's ready to talk. She says no. It's one of my best, really. And they eat, Khan sending a lark to Pyrock to get the mind weft somewhere safe so Rave doesn't try anything. She tells him she doesn't want her fruit, she wants revenge. Revenge for the pleasure of the night before. So then she starts in on herself, and this week's Revenge Moji Erotica.
Ooh.
I gotta pull it up.
That's what she said.
Well, I don't know about that one. Not in this
She
instance.
meant her dress.
Sorry.
Her dress.
Well, all right. I guess so. I was on the fence about doing this one, but it's fine.
That's what she said.
Rave wasn't.
Hey-o. All right. Bowl, ladder, parentheses, purple circle, and pear, in parentheses, bricks, a painter, two swirly emojis, so like a swirl and then another swirl, like a chicken coming out of an egg. It's like a broken egg, right? And like a blush covering the mouth emoji. And that's this week's Revenge Moji Erotica.
Sure.
Anyway.
Good job.
Very nice.
I mean, she finished, so I felt like I had to do something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair.
Even though he didn't pull it out, we still got to talk about, you know? I know that was my idiom before.
The
but
golden rule.
It's the golden rule. Yeah, that's
That's the golden rule.
right. That's it right there. Yeah.
You guys didn't grow up memorizing that. If you pull it out, you got to talk about it.
All right. Another diary entry. Once everyone leaves for the village, Ostern locks Eloen in a room and tells her he knows about her and Khan. Then he uses Claude to cut off her breathing and tells her that if she refuses to go through with the binding ceremony, he'll not only kill Vea, but he'll tell the twins about her and Khan, and they'll hunt him down, saw his head off, and also that if she wants her baby to live, she'll do what she needs to do to make Tyroth believe it's his. Do all that, and all will be well. And we're back to Rave, having one heck of a nightmare, or rather a flashback of getting tortured with fire by someone called the Scavenger King. Also mentioning how Fallon has been helping her here. She hums her peaceful tune to help with the pain. He threatens Fallon, which makes Rave threaten him, and he laughs it off, calls her his firelark, and now he has what he needs to quote-unquote motivate her. Khan rouses her awake, asking her what a firelark is as she rushes outside to jump in the water. Khan lifts her up, pressing her about who she was talking to, and just as it seemed she was about to open up a little, they hear a screech and some horns. Emissaries have arrived from the shade, along with Wreck, I'm a little bitch boy, Zaros. They both notice the moon plume that he's on, clearly struggling with major injuries to its body and wings from the weather. She heads back inside and gears up for war, basically. She's like strapping on knives, all the stuff. A blood rage boiling strong for Wreck Zaros. As she's gearing up to leave, Khan argues that he has come under a white flag. If anything happens to Wreck, there will be war. He talks her down and asks if he can trust her to stay put. She replies, but doesn't answer the question, but he goes to meet with the emissaries. At the hutch, Khan gets a better look at the moon plume, and it's in really bad shape, something that reminds him of Slatra. Wreck tries to use Boulder as Khan cuts him off and gives a little threat. Wreck laughs, but shuts his dirty little filthy mouth when Rygun enters his view, smoke coming from his nostrils as he stares Wreck down. Hell yeah, brother. The moon plume's name is Leary. Khan plans to take care of her without Wreck's knowledge, securing a Carter dragon for his departure. Khan asks why he's here. Apparently, Kazari went missing after her anointing, and it's Wreck's job to find her. Khan plans to keep Wreck in iron shackles and the other 2 emissaries under lock and key in their rooms. And we're back to Rave, not waiting around for Khan. She ends up scaling the wall up to the hutch where Rygun is watching over Leary. She takes in the injured moon plume, her emotion bubbling up a thunderstorm and some rain, talking to Leary about some of her memories as she is hit with some kind of connection to Leary, possibly bond, as we mentioned earlier. She stays with her as Agni comes to heal her injuries, even speaking to Leary in the southern tongue, apparently something she's never done before as Rave. Agni passes out from exhaustion from the healing. Rave tells her that she needs to rest, but not before Agni tells Rave that she sees how quote-unquote bright Rave is. Rave now having met 2 people with dragon sight, something that is supposedly to be super rare. She tells Agni she doesn't want Khan knowing and that she has no desire to talk about it. Agni leaves, but Khan takes her place, asking what she doesn't want him to know about, and she finally confesses to Khan that Wreck took someone from her, someone she loved. He explains that Wreck will be here for another day or 2, that he knows they plan to go back to Gore to chase another lead, and where they'll stop along the way, a city in neutral territory. He tells her that he'll have everything prepared for her to leave and wait to release Wreck until like a day has passed so she can beat him to Gore and prepare for whatever it is that she wants to do. And his last request is for her to come back to him. And side note, that's the last time they talk in this book. Eloen diary entry, leaving with Tyroth, hinting at the note that she left Khan. Khan obviously not knowing that she's doing it to protect them all. Vea, Khan, everybody. And then we get a daggone Wreck, I'm a little bitch boy, man-child, Zaros POV chapter. Him and his cohorts, plus the Carter from Dom, making a stop in Bothame at an inn that should really be more appropriately titled as a brothel or something, honestly. But what a name for the place. And I'm not sure what the obsession is with the word velvet, but it's called the Velvet Snog, probably inspired by the Velvet Trog who grew up in the Velvet Bog, her neighbor, a Velvet Frog who made and sold velvet clogs, mainly to velvet hogs who loved to gossip down by the velvet log, sitting in the velvet fog with her friend a velvet groundhog, sipping on velvet eggnog. What happened? I blacked out. Anyway, Wreck orders a steak for the Carter, who he plans to kill to take the dragon, and also a strumpet to his room, paying for the floor to be cleared out as well. After they eat, he heads up to his room where he finds said strumpet, back turned, stoking the fire. He goes in for the kill, as she talks about how she's not a big fan of fire, probably having something to do with her time spent in the pits of Kindard, but he laughs because no one has made it out of the pits unless she's Firelark, at which point she speaks to Claude to take the air from him, sticking his thigh with an iron pin. She's even taken out the door handle and stuck razors down in the hole, bro. What? Whoever this is has been hunting him, and she knocks him out. And Wreck comes to at the start of the other chapter. If you hadn't guessed it before now, you know that this is Rave, turned infamous other, called it, having bound up Wreck nice and tight to the bedposts. It describes Rave not going away easy either, packing her in a quote-unquote tomb of ice to protect her. The other gives Wreck a good slap to wake him up. She takes the fire poker and starts to go to work on his bare chest, making him feel what Leary felt. And we get here that Rave can in fact hear all 4 elemental songs, although even Rave herself doesn't know that she can hear Ignos, that the other has been protecting her from hearing his song, quote, until she's ready. And we get back to Vea's story, now in Erithia's grand palace searching for Eloen's diary, winding up a staircase, catching a glimpse of herself in a mirror, the bangle having changed her appearance to that of one of the maids or like servants of Tyroth. She runs into another servant on her way up who tells her that she should be up there already to Tyroth's chambers, finally making it all the way up as Tyroth is leaving. He scolds her as someone named Ada, also commenting on his bastard that she's carrying. Well then. He leaves and she heads into the sleep suite where Eloen supposedly spent her final moments. She finally gets her hands on the diary and she reads through the young, the adolescent, and the mature Eloen, reading the final entry and learning that her baby was not Tyroth's, but Khan's, pretending to make it through sex with the prick to make it believable. The final diary line being that she feels a battle coming, but that she has a feeling if she were to climb back into her bed, she would not rise from it again, as Vea is overcome with emotion at the realization and implications of Eloen's final entry. And then we get an epilogue in the Scavenger King POV, studying another captor in his cell, apparently whispering to herself. He comments that he recognizes the resemblance to his firelark, and we get his name, Arkan. And then we find out that she is his niece. Not that she knows that, or that any of his quote-unquote half-brothers know he exists either. What? He has her sign a blank piece of parchment. She gets a little cheeky trying to hide a message in her signature. And then we get some of his intentions, that he is after the burn and that it is rightfully his, that apparently Khan stole Arkan's revenge in killing their father. He sends her signed lark off to somebody as it passes another lark on its way in, heading for Kazari as it drops next to her and the 3 letters she can make out to form the word Ni. And that's fucking it, guys. That's where it freaking stops, right there, of all places. Like I just threw a frisbee, and instead of it landing in the grass or someone catching it or a dog plucking out of the air, it just stops midair, frozen, like it wasn't even a frisbee in the first place, and it doesn't even care about continuing on in its little frisbee life, you know?
Just calcified in the middle of the frisbee field.
Calcified, floating in the sky.
Unbelievable.
Well, let's get on into it. Let's wrap this book up with a bow. Here we go. It's chapter 79.
It. This is a diary entry, and it starts by saying King Ostern returned on his saber scythe, trailed by his 2 youngest sons, Kadok and Tyroth, both here for the great flirt celebration. And I wrote, "Here we fucking go!"
Right.
Mostly because I was excited about being right, not because I was excited about the actual events. But
What were you
I
right
was
about
hyped
in
to
this
start
specific
this.
instance? Because you've been right a lot to be valid. Like,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This was more, it was coming that all of my crazy theories about like Ostern threatening Eloen to like leave after the great flirt and come back to the shade and like all this stuff was happening. Flirt. So when it said they showed up, I was like, ah!
all right.
That's all.
Well, and then it's like as if we already are told not to like Tyroth, or we are told he's this horrible person. The first interaction when we get the guy is that he corrals Rave or Eloen, I guess, in this moment in the hallway and tried to shove them into a darkened corner and said she wasn't allowed to speak. And I was like, okay, Sarah, I get it. He's the worst.
He's terrible.
I understand.
Well, I don't know. Had they technically interacted before, or were there only interactions before, like through their parents, where Eloen was like, hell no?
I think so.
I feel like maybe she saw him when they were in the shade, but I mean, they don't say that explicitly. But I feel like,
This is the
yeah,
first
this is
time
probably
we
like
see
one
him,
of,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This might be the first time he's been on page,
Right.
like, at all.
He's been
Yeah.
talked about, but he's not actually been there till now.
Yeah. She's expressed her hatred toward him, but he's
Yes.
never actually met her. as
And
far
I
as we
think
know.
his reputation is probably a lot of that too,
Yeah.
that she hears, even if they hadn't
True.
met.
That he sucks.
Yeah.
So in Eloen's POV, she's saying the silence that is expected of a princess unless she's either bound or given herself to the creators, like Vea. And this, I think, was new information that Vea gave herself to the creators. And I was just, no? Oh,
We found that out before.
because she...
And she had like won her own Tuca trial and she had done all sorts of stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I remember that. I guess I'm just confused about what that means for someone who doesn't bear the crown.
I think anybody can do that, I would assume.
Is it just like a
only-
commitment sort of a thing?
I guess. I was also, I don't know. This is the end of the book. I'm not hiding any secrets from you anymore.
Answer my question.
I don't know the answer. I'm like, is it a nun type thing? Like they give themselves to the gods and are saying they won't get married to someone else or something because they can be unveiled at that point. It's not like
Right.
they're
Yeah, they can.
a young maiden, or something.
Kazari said that she had taken
Yeah, she
Kazari
done
said
gave
that
herself
she
to the
had
creators.
Like how Kazari said that she had taken the oath of chastity when she was talking about how she gave herself to the creators, but I didn't know if those were like two different things. I guess I forgot that Vea did that, so I was surprised.
Well, it doesn't seem like that is a requirement because Vea certainly didn't do that.
True.
She did.
I mean,
The
even
whole
if
chastity thing, I mean, because apparently she has been around, right?
I don't remember that.
What?
The only thing I would
They
think
inf-
about is
In your dream.
She talks about she like jokes about making
Love?
stops on the way to the shade, and Khan's like, I don't want to hear about what you do because he thought that that's what she
Yeah.
was going to be stopping for.
Perhaps.
I mean,
Okay.
the only thing I would think is that Khan isn't like anti-Grim and Vea's little flirty back and forth or something. Like, I feel like he would be the one to be like, you can't do that. She's given herself to the creators, or some protective brother type. But instead, he's just like chill with it.
She just said she'd be chased, not that she couldn't flirt. Come on, guy.
Flirt, flirt.
I don't know.
And just to be clear,
It's not
John, all of these are
explicitly
FLIRT. So we're talking about flirting, not the
I was talking about the great flirt.
Con?
Ain't
Really
no average
great.
flirt.
Take that veil off, girl.
So in Eloen's POV, this is when they're at the table. She notices Vea was strangely silent, says closed off, eyes downcast as she ate beside her nephew. And rereading this for the recap, I realized that it was just because Ostern was there, and plus the fact that he was just like giving her a bunch of crap there at the table and saying all this like terrible things to her. But I thought at first that her memory was already gone at this point, and that's why it seemed like she was almost in like a zone out type of thing. But that would have been an interesting thing to learn if that were a possibility. But now I know that it was just because Ostern was being a dick.
Yeah, because he's a dick. But it does say that she was sitting beside her nephew. So I'm guessing this was Turin, since we don't know any other like Vagor children. And I think he would have been a toddler by this point, potentially. Mm-hmm. That was interesting.
Yep.
But it does bring the
Sure.
question, like, what did she know specifically that she felt the need to have her memory wiped? Did she choose to have her memory wiped? Did somebody force that on her?
Right.
Because she knew that information? Like,
I
obviously.
do have a note about that in a minute.
Okay.
But I don't like it.
Okay.
So if somebody else has a different suggestion, I might accept it as headcanon instead.
Okay, we'll expand when we get there, I guess. And this is right after Ostern makes Vea cry when Eloen says, I snapped. I ripped off my veil, climbed on the table, and charged to the other end. I slammed my fork through a pile of caulk meat that I'd been salivating over since the meal began. Then I proceeded to sit back in my chair, stuff my mouth full, and toss King Ostern a fake smile. The fuck? And I was like, oh my gosh, my jaw is on the floor here. That was incredible. And it continues. I was just sucking the meat juice off my fingers when King Ostern announced Khan and Vea would be leaving with Kadok and Tyroth after the Great Flirt, so they could help rebuild a village torn apart by a rabid saber scythe. And I was like, serious Inception. Like, what is happening? Is she, did she go back and she's reliving a memory? Like, this was crazy.
It is crazy. There's so many parallels to what's happening now and like, yeah, what was going on in the other timeline. This was my note about Vea's memory gap. It says, in 30 Aurora cycles, I turned 21. Preparations have already begun for the binding ceremony in Erythia between myself and Tyroth for my coronation. But that 30 Aurora cycles is how long Vea's memory gap is. And this is when they like take her, right? They take her and Con for a month. Is that what happened?
They take
Don't
Khan
they
and Vea?
Yeah, don't they say at the end of this that like,
Well,
or maybe not Con, but I thought they said that Vea was getting taken.
Well, they send, so Ostern sends all four of them to the village. So like Khan, Vea, Tyroth, and Kadok.
Yeah.
Is that
So
what you
she's
mean?
like with, yeah, like she's with Tyroth and Kadok for that 30 days was what it sounded like.
And Khan.
I just,
So
it felt like they did something terrible to her during that month based on how she like spoke about them in the previous chapters. And I just was wondering if she chose to have her memory erased of those 30 days because of whatever happened while she was with Tyroth and Kadok.
That's not what I mean, what I was trying to say earlier is I thought that her memory, like she knew of Khan's baby, or like that the baby's origin, or maybe she was there when Rave died or Eloen died or something along those lines. Like it was that she knew the big vital information, and then to protect Kizari maybe, or the world from having war, or maybe Tyroth forced her to lose the memory, because I also think Tyroth knows that Kizari's not his own kid. Something like that. That's the 30 days, because that wouldn't be 30 days from now because she's not showing or whatever.
Yeah, that was my initial thought too. This just made me really nervous because of the way that she still talks about Tyroth and Kadok.
My guess is that it's going to be, if we do figure it out, that it's going to be Ostern, just because of how, like, that he did something, or he chose to do something to her, or have her memory erased or whatever. Especially with how it's set up here with him sending all 4 of them off, so he can basically like threaten her and then leave without Connor Vea being able to like intercede or anything.
Yeah,
Maybe
I didn't
she
think
had
anything.
used the bangle before to sneak into Erythia and saw stuff that she wasn't supposed to see.
That's totally true. That could be. But yeah, this specific instance of them leaving didn't make me think anything about her memory gap. It felt like that just set up for Ostern to be a D-bag.
Yeah.
Not horrible things
good.
to happen to Vea. I'm not saying that maybe didn't happen, but that's not what I was taking from this.
I'll take it for now.
And I would be surprised if like something serious happened with Khan being there too. Like maybe if he sent Vea off like
With them alone.
with
Tyroth and Kadok alone, and then sent Khan somewhere else maybe. But
I agree with that.
Yeah, although I guess it would be kind of weird that this is the point that she left the note for Khan, and he was with was he with Tyroth for the whole month?
Yeah, but she would have left for Erythia, and maybe he wouldn't have. He would have stayed in the Burton or wherever they were.
yeah, because it sounded like he's like, for some reason I thought she was like off like the next day.
Yeah,
Same.
I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
I need to reread all of this.
Go back, reread.
I'm only going off of one read, and I feel like there's
wish
so
I
many
could
little
tell
details.
you you'd get more information and understand it on your reread, but you won't
TBH,
because it's not there.
there was already more that I learned from John's recap just now that I missed on my first read.
Yeah, I definitely
what
got
I'm here
more in
for.
the second read.
I was, even just like skimming through the last chapter again, I was picking up a bunch of new stuff. But my first read, I was just like skimming, not skimming, but I was just like devouring the last chapter section.
Skipped?
How dare.
Parentheses 2% glass of milk. In parentheses.
Skim. Okay, chapter 80 starts off. This is a rave POV. Thank you. My note just says, "What a man." The quote is, "Fully stocked cupboard with a handful of options to break our fast, and the male knows exactly what to serve me. Not that I asked for a meal, or spring water served in my favorite mug, or for my soul to be cradled while he was so deep inside me there was no place to hide."
Just giggle your way through that.
That's how I read the chapter.
Of course it is. Shortly after, this is the same scene on Ray's POV looking at Khan, him half naked, moving with the mirth of someone who just stepped off a battlefield, blood barely blotted from his skin before dashing a cloth over his shoulder and preparing food he personally foraged. And me, festering in the aftermath of our emotionally charged coupling, hair askew, mind mulched, trying to work out how I went from winning the most important game of Scrippy I've ever played to sitting at this table, wishless, boggled, and annoyingly aroused. I was just like, what a great paragraph here. The writing is great. Like, holy cow. What a way to write it.
I just love the description of her. Like, the only part that I highlighted was wishless, boggled, and annoyingly aroused. What a description.
Really good.
So good. Khan says to Rave, "There's only one mind weft in Dom. I believe you've already met him. I'm moving him to a safe house." And I wrote, "Thank you. Don't let her go do something stupid."
Well, and she's like, "Are you serious?" or whatever she says. And he responds, "You have a history of dipping out the side door the moment my back is turned, then winding up dead in the sky." It just made me laugh the way the narrator does it so deadpan. Like, he's just like, "These are the facts, and here it is."
Yep.
Like, that's valid.
Dead in the sky. Calcify.
Calcify.
And then Khan's eyes are black, jaw gritted, veins embossed all over his bulging muscles. So cheers, everybody. Whoop, whoop. And then Rave says, "There are no more white flags with me, my king." And I wrote, "My king," in all caps. And then the end of the chapter, Rave leaves the room without looking back. And my note was, F you guys, just have the conversation already in all caps.
I'm just, one of my major frustrations with this book is that all they talk about is having this conversation. And then they never have the freaking conversation. I want to throw the book whenever this happened. And I knew it wasn't going to happen too. And she just walks out and I was like, me too, Rave. It's so frustrating.
Because I knew what he was going to say about Kazari.
Yeah. Well, and it just, like, we're going to open book 2 and she still has no idea. So Rave's character has not changed. This, whatever, like, nothing is different. She hasn't learned information. She's not leaving on a cliffhanger. She's just living in her ignorant bliss.
Well, she might be trapped right now, so that's also something we'll talk about.
Why is she trapped?
Save it for a thought.
We'll get there. Okay. All right. Okay. We'll get there.
Okay.
Maybe.
Now I'm on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but whatever. Okay, so diary entry. This is when King Austern waved his sons and daughter off this Aurora rise. We both watched them disappear into the distance before 2 of his guards snapped iron cuffs around my wrist. And honestly, just with how horrible he is and how horrible he's described, I'm genuinely surprised he waited until they were gone. Or like he made up this ruse to make them leave before he was just the worst. And I do think Con would have fought for her or whatever, but I feel like Austern wouldn't care.
Well,
Or
Con
Tyroth
did
and
rip his
Kadok
head
would have
off.
stopped. Yeah, well, yeah, but like without Tyroth and Kadok around that we know of. So, I don't even know.
Well, I don't know. I think even if Con couldn't do anything about it in the moment, he still was next in line to be king of the burn. And I feel like Austern wanted Tyroth on the throne so badly that I feel like it made sense that he would want to keep all of it like a secret, especially if he was planning on killing Eloen after the baby was born. Like, I feel like he was just trying to orchestrate all of it because he was even trying to keep it a secret from Tyroth that she was pregnant. Mm-hmm. So I feel like he was trying to make it look to everyone else like Eloen was just going there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, he sucks.
Yeah. He does suck. And he literally sucks the air from Eloen's lungs here.
He literally sucks.
He literally sucks. But like, actually, my heart dropped reading this, that he used Claude for that, because like at the beginning of the book, I thought this was so cool when Rave does it to Tarek. But then reading this part where like she does that to all of her victims, but then hearing it done to her as Eloen before she died, it was just like, that made my heart drop. I did not like that. And then as unhappy as I am about this, I was totally right about all 3 of them being threatened by Austern, because he did threaten Con and Slatra and Vea, just for all of them being close to Eloen, for being people that she cared about.
Yerp. And then he got real close and looked at Eloen like he could see straight through her skull. Says, told me he'd been informed that my bleeding is late. Something I hadn't considered until that very moment. Hadn't even realized. And I was like, oh shit. Like I said in my recap, like, oh my gosh.
Which,
This
how
was
creepy
crazy.
that he knows that before she does.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that he was informed of it, though. So someone else knew before either of them did and came and told him that her bleeding was late.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it happens in The Handmaid's Tale.
Which I guess is what's happening here.
Kind of though. Yeah, I wrote in all caps, oh fuck, is it Con's? Because I was convinced it was Tyroth's. Mostly because Con was not acting like it was his daughter, but I didn't expect it to be because he literally didn't know. And then it says in Eloen's POV that if Tyroth believes he sired the small seed apparently growing in my belly, all will be well, which is just, oh, this was so much worse than I expected. I wrote, I'll take the half win, but I'm still devastated. But it's just, the craziest part to me is that no one knows about this except for Vea and then possibly Tyroth. And I think there's a chance Kazari knows because of Kalis, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. But Vea is currently the only person confirmed that we know, like, knows the truth. Wild.
And then he kind of ends their little chat here. He ends his threat with, there will be nowhere, or wait, this is from Eloen's POV. There will be nowhere Con and I can hide where they won't find us. They'll hunt us down for this filthy dishonor we've bestowed upon our families. And I just wrote, there it is. Like, that's the reason for her leaving. That's for the reason for her writing the note, as we find out she does. So, yeah, there it is. It takes us into chapter 82, another Rave chapter. and it says the Scavenger King, and I was like, the fuck? Like, who is this? New person
Exactly.
we've never heard of before.
My note at first was, is this freaking Tyroth? Because they don't explain who it is in this chapter. So until the epilogue, I was really confused because I had been saying for like at least a couple episodes, I feel like it didn't make sense to me, like who could possibly be the person who was keeping Rave captive and torturing her and stuff after she had fallen. And so I just like my immediate assumption was that this was Tyroth when I first read it. But then I was like, why would Tyroth care about making money from her fighting in the pits? Or like, why would this be such a huge vendetta that he would burn her like this and torture her? And then when Jon and I were still reading, he said that his first thought was that it was Wreck. So that I was just like even more confused.
I thought it was people from the Fjord du Ath, and they were like,
Oh,
they used her to a certain extent, and then Sareem had her seem normal when she was able to like actually kind of remember things to a certain extent,
okay.
because they
See, that
could
would also
control
make
her or
sense.
whatever. But
Yeah, that didn't even cross my mind. I think I was like, maybe because they called him the Scavenger King and they had called Khan like the Incognito King and whatever. And I was like, oh, is this another weird king nickname? I guess that was just more of a Rave POV thing. But I don't know. This like really threw me for a loop. And then the Scavenger King says to Rave, but pain hardens you, Firelark. And I wrote, no, in all caps. Because I was so wildly wrong about Firelark being a nickname that Rave had for, or that Eloen had for Khan. This was so much worse than I imagined. And then he was like torturing her and trying to get her to speak and saying that he would like give her something to scream about. And was he literally like burning and torturing her and threatening her friend to try and summon the other for the fighting pits? If the Firelark was like the only one who apparently could make it out and he was making so much money from her fighting, my assumption was that maybe he was doing that to try and get Slatra to come out, even though he didn't understand like what that was. Or does that feel like a reach? I was really confused about that, but it almost made me cry reading this scene.
to me, it was almost like she was literally being reborn. Like she literally could not speak and did not know how. And Fallon taught her how to even speak.
Well, yeah.
And whether or not that meant Slatra was in charge or Rave was in charge, I don't know. But like, I don't think he would even have the idea that a dragon or something would be inside of her. I guess.
Well, no, I just mean like the way that she fights. Like, I don't think he knew anything about who she was or like why that was happening. But I'm just wondering if he had seen Slatra like take over in a moment of needing to survive, and then started trying to get her to like go into that state, to go into the fighting pits or something. Because otherwise I'm like, why is he just burning her alive all the time? Because he was even
creepy.
in his POV, he was thinking about burning Kazari's skin and stuff. So maybe he is just super deranged. But that was my first thought.
Yeah, maybe that's why he's called her Firelark as well, because of Ignos. If the other does know that language and use it, but Rave wouldn't.
Good point.
I have a theory about this regarding Sareem, but it would kind of make sense of how she said, like, or how she recognized that in Rave. Like, if Slatra was out a bunch, like, fighting down there or whatever, and Sareem
Like she had
that.
seen her fighting as the Firelark before.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause she said she had seen
She
her
does say
other
she's seen it.
form or whatever.
Yeah.
Good point.
And that her eyes were
Her eyes
black
were
and
black.
stuff.
Yeah. So.
Well, after this horrible flashback dream situation, Rave wakes up and Khan says, "What's a Firelark, Rave?" Huh? Dirge of memory, yes. He says, "What's a Firelark, Rave?" And I didn't actually cry here, but I put a lot more crying emojis because, again, I was majorly wrong on the Firelark name. But this was like, oh, this scene was so emotional to read.
Yeah. And she ends up like getting up. She runs outside, takes a dip in the water. And it says here, "And for the first time ever, I let loose a firestorm scream that chars the path up my throat and a spill of bubbles racing for the surface." And this is another one of those sentences that I just kind of glanced over. And I'm like, I thought this was just her making a big scream, but she just breathed fire here underwater. That's what I am assuming here, which is
That's
correct.
what I thought too. Sort of like boiling bubbles going up or something.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah. And pretty much just after that, Khan asks again, "Who were you talking to, Rave?" And Rave says, "We're not having this conversation." And I said, "Oh, that's the title of this chapter segment, is We're Not Having This Conversation."
The title of his book.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my gosh. That's similar to my next note where Khan says, now my beautiful, spectacular, indignant moonbeam, let's try this again. Who were you talking? And then a pained, ear-splitting screech rattles the atmosphere. And I wrote, if we finish this whole book without them having this effing conversation, I'm gonna be pissed. And then underneath I wrote, and technically we did.
Not technically, like we actually did. Like it is like for a fact.
Oh my gosh. And it's Wreck freaking Zaros who shows up with 2 of the Shade emissaries. Just
Yep. Definitely didn't
was
expect
not-
that.
that was not on my bingo card for the end of this book.
Well, and then it says, I catch sight of the saddle bound around its hide, talking about the dragon, of the blonde rider pressed flat against the poor dragon's back. Wreck Zaros. And my note is, of course he's blonde.
I'm pretty sure we already knew that. Did we know that?
I don't remember. It's been 400
For
cycles
some
since we've
reason, I
talked to
thought
him
he
again.
was redheaded, but yes, he's blonde.
It's really been like 3 days in this book, but it feels like 40 years ago that we've seen him.
Yeah, it does.
Well, and on seeing him, Rave says she grinds her back molars, tasting blood. So cheers.
Wow.
Kyle, you
I
did
got
it.
one.
Kyle,
So
good
proud of you.
job.
Wow.
Good job. Good job. And then she like goes and she's going to get ready and she's going to do the things and whatever. And Kana's like, you can't, girly pop. Like he's got a white flag. Don't you see it? And
Curly pop.
he says, this is a perfect excuse for my brothers to shred across the Baltanic plains and batter me with a war they've been so looking forward to since I murdered our pa. And this is just so frustrating for her. She wants one thing in life and she gets told no. Like, girl,
This is her only wish.
it's literally all she wants. This is her whole
just wanna
motivation
kill
for this
that
entire
guy.
book. She doesn't want to know her history. She doesn't want to know any of these people. She wants to kill this dude. She can't even do it.
And that's it. Yep. Chapter 83 is a Khan POV, and it starts with him grinding his teeth. So cheers
Whoa,
again.
I'm so hydrated.
I like your little lemon.
It's a pineapple.
Oh, it's a pineapple. Nice. I like a little pineapple.
course.
Pineapple cover.
Khan is heading to Hutch 27 here to speak with Wreck, and in his POV it says this is one of the earliest hutches, somewhat isolated, distanced from the rest of them, rarely used. And I wrote, is this the one Slatra stayed in while they took care of her?
I have no idea.
Maybe.
But I feel like it makes sense.
Sure.
Because that's kind of sweet, as much as I
Why
hate
not?
Wreck.
You can
Calcified, moving on.
Dream big.
dream big.
Let's-
Well, in this section, we learn all about how Wreck treats his dragon, Leary, and I started like typing some of my highlights from it, but it's really just horrible and disgusting. And there was
know.
way too many of them to list for this podcast just because it's absolutely horrible how this poor dragon is treated. So go read the book and read about Leary. And my note is just that Wreck sucks. And Leary's
Yeah, I did the
best.
exact same thing here because my next note is that I had a bunch of notes about how much I hate him because he's so mean to her. But then it says something about his like white flag, and Khan's POV says, I'm tempted to shove it up his ass then deliver him to Rave, but kingdom rules.
My kingdom
wow.
rules.
I love the way the narrator read that. It was so good.
The deadpan for Khan is top tier for
It is.
how I picture him and all of his sass. It's great.
Yeah. Shout out to Phaedra Casey for that.
Yes, for real. And then when Khan is kind of being sassy to him and stuff, I think it's Wreck who says, you're going to call off your beast when Dragon shows up. And he says, or will I go down in history as the male who stoked the war between the shade and the burn? And then Khan says, oh, so Tyroth is his patron then, like he's who sent him. And I was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Give me some plot. Like, what is the story? Who's the bad guy? What are we doing here? Like, we are at the end of the book and I'm ready for
Oh
some
my
story. So I was excited for that.
Well, you're getting
we
it.
don't get it. No, we don't really, but you know, that's okay.
Not that story, but a different one.
There's been a lot up till now. You know?
we'll get more of her thoughts later. Let her stew in it for a little bit more.
Stew in your little stew.
I've been stewing for 6 months.
Your little crock pot.
Stew in your little bowl.
Slow cooker. Okay, Khan says to Wreck here, we don't condone animal cruelty in this kingdom. You've severed your bond with the beast. That's on you. And Wreck says, I'll just have to lash it back into her later. And my note here, literally, that I wrote was, what? But this is just really interesting. Like, they have talked about how Eloen got on the back of Slatra until she listened to her song or something. Like, there's kind of been some of these descriptions of, like, almost like taming these dragons into, like, a bond of some sort. But it was really interesting here that Khan said he had severed the bond. And Wreck was like, I'll just have to lash it back into her later. Because I feel like a lot of the other dragon type of stories that we read is, like, they bond with one person until that person dies. Or it's like, this is a very different sort of bond than what I've read before, which is, it sucks in this particular instance, but it is really interesting.
It's more of like
more
a
like-
domestication.
It
Yeah.
feels more like a
Bond.
horse.
Yeah.
Like everyone can have one. Some that you're closer to than others, or trust more than others. And you might have
But
to
it's,
like,
like,
tame a wild
super
horse
dangerous.
or something, but with a dragon.
Yeah, like you might die in the process, but
Right.
I mean, to be fair, I'm sure it was hard to domesticate wolves. Now they're just little dumb dogs, but at first, I'm sure it was
they gotta be
pretty
dumb.
difficult.
horses are also pretty big and scary, to be fair.
That's true.
So-
Yeah, those wild stallions.
You rang. Oh,
Pretty
goodness.
good.
Amazing. Then we learn about Wreck and Kizari. He says that he is hunting someone, talking about the princess who went missing just after her anointing. And we actually saw this happen way back in like chapter 13 or whatever that the first Khan POV, when he meets with Kizari and she had like ran away. And then we don't hear from her again. Assumedly she was picked up by the Scavenger King at some point in there and has been in his prison since. But Wreck is here on the hunt. And from Khan's POV, he says, everyone knows this male, being Wreck, has hung off Kizari like a sticky shadow for many phases, desperate to vie for her affections. So disgusting.
Gross.
Gross. And then, of course, Khan says, and on the reread, this is like a big slap on the face. He says, Khan says, find comfort in the fact that if she were my daughter, I'd do anything in my power to keep her well the fuck away from you. I was like, ooh, she is your daughter. Oh, man. And then chapter 84 is another rave POV. Wow, it was really speeding up.
Yeah, he's building up to the beat drop.
Sure. She has made her way up to Leary, and she says, a jagged blade now wedged in my chest as I dip inside myself. I lift the memory from the obsidian shore within and put it where it's meant to be, in my chest where I can feel it always. The emission, it feels right, so heartbreakingly right. And this is her, like, I think accepting what happened with Slatra and like all of those things. And I just love this for her. I love that she's going to find some healing or some acceptance in whatever has happened, that she just keeps deny.
This whole chapter was really sweet character growth for Rave, but especially the end where she says to Leary, I think you and I were supposed to find one another. No one will ever hurt you again.
Cute.
Reading those comments makes me a little ticked that she's doing this with a random dragon and like not the dude that has been like 10 out of 10 the entire book for her. I don't know. That just makes me feel some kind of way about it anyway.
I mean, she did do him, but
yeah,
She
sure.
also had the dragon
Technically
a
has
lot
done
longer
more
than she
with
had
him.
Khan.
she's done a lot with Khan.
Yeah.
Hey, Slatra was there too.
Taking their relationship a little bit further.
And she's had Slatra since she was a kid. Like, she's gone through a lot more.
Yeah.
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 She said that her soul was cradled while Khan was inside her. But technically, her soul was cradled in a moon while she was inside.
Slatra. So we've come full circle here.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Might be one of your best insights yet, Kyle.
Thanks.
I'm just kidding. And my note to end the chapter here was like, and did Rave just bond a new dragon? Yeah.
I think so.
I think so.
I hope so.
Maybe.
I say that, but I am like super excited for this. Like, especially like she's obviously lost a piece of her that was like super important to her. She's been feeling some type of way about it. And this dragon here has obviously been going through something, depending on however long like this Leary has been with
Even by the
Wreck.
same guy for some of it.
Yeah, like, geez, man. So redemption for like both parties. Hopefully we get to see a little bit more of, I would assume we'd get to see more of Leary in book number 2. So, or the rest of the series. So that'd be sweet.
It is absolutely crazy to me thinking about all the things that Wreck has done to this dragon, that some dragons would even take it. Like, they could just eat you Why at no point has the dragon be like, no, you're dead?
That's why, I mean, like with their bond, it has to be deeper than just like one moment of submission.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
it does
it
try to
seems
snap
like-
at him. That's when Khan says
Oh,
it looks
yeah,
like
that's
he
true.
broke the
Yeah.
bond or whatever.
Yeah,
And she's also incredibly weak by this point.
Yeah,
true.
incredibly.
And he probably kept her that way on purpose, but
Yeah.
It sucks.
This is true.
because he sucks. And he did
Well,
say
he-
that she was like, I don't know if she was smaller than other dragons, but that she could never really fly that far. Like,
Yeah, which
She's-
might also
she
just
was
because of the
younger.
care.
yeah, I feel like he intentionally picked a weaker one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and he intentionally did where they were talking about, like, you didn't even bring someone to shelter her from the
Oh,
heat
yeah,
and stuff like
that's
that. And
right.
he's like, whatever,
A blue
sort of
bee.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The worst. Well, and then he was planning on killing what's his name, Taros, and bonding his dragon too after that. So
Which could be how he got Leary. Who knows? Because it doesn't
Also
sound like
true.
he would have gone out to go get the egg and taken care of it
No.
and stuff. He got it from somebody.
yeah, freaking worst. I did think it was really cool though in chapter 85, which is another rave POV.
It was a sad
Thank you, John. Like silent jamming over there.
I
look
did
like
it,
he's
but then
at
I
one of those,
realized I
like,
was muted.
silent
so.
parties where everybody wears headphones or
Yeah.
The
whatever.
silent disco.
Yeah.
Silent disco, yeah.
I did think it was really cool at the beginning of this chapter that Rave instinctually speaks to Leary in the Southern tongue and like doesn't even realize that she's doing it. It's just like she
Howdy.
That's it. That's why Rek was bonded with her too. He speaks the Southern tongue.
Didn't even reckon I knew how to talk that way. The maid's like, oh my gosh, how'd you know how to do that?
How did you know? I wish I could speak whale.
Reckon it came naturally.
Your Texan is coming out.
What?
Okay. Lauren didn't see that, unfortunately.
No, I didn't.
that was
Sorry.
funny.
That's too bad. Well, then here Rave is talking to Agni while she heals Leary, but Agni starts talking directly to Rave and like looking at her with her dragon sight. Rave says, I don't want the king knowing. And Agni says, Vea said the same when I brought it up with her. Your secret's safe with me. And I was like, what? But I guess I should have known because we know that she's Bea's sister. And we get that whole thing that it's in their like family line or whatever. So I was
see that
surprised,
conversation
but
with
then
them.
I'm like, yeah, but then I'm like, why was I so surprised about this conversation? I guess it was just because there's so many other things that we were thinking about. But I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, because
Yeah, see, this was me with Vea being committed to the creators.
Yeah.
But we see the conversation with Agni and Vea whenever Rave is like passed out or whatever, and
Yeah.
first gets back to her room. She's like, "Look at me with your special eyes."
My brand. My
brand.
wound. Oh, then in Rave's POV, I just thought this was very cute. She's with Leary and it says, I reach forward, taking one of Leary's tendrils and running it through my fingers, her trilling sound softening to a high-pitched purr that saws in longer, more languid drags until her breaths turn deep and even. This was a very cute description, first of all, but also very reminiscent of her times with Slatra in the hutch and like singing her to sleep and stuff. Was so cute and also very cute, but for different reasons. Con Vagor, I love him. And I quote, his arms are crossed, the sleeves of his black tunic rolled to the elbows. Hello, forearms. His hair held back in such a loose bun that the tendrils hang around his face. He's the picture of savage regard, a fierce, sturdy presence. With his beast at my back and this massive, impenetrable male at my front, I should feel small. I don't. He's only ever made me feel vast, mighty even, and perhaps he's right. I was like, hell yeah. Yes, he is.
She asks how long Rek and the others that he's with and stuff will be around and escorted in the city. And Khan says, another few cycles perhaps. He's thorough. I suspect my brother's emissaries are here to scope our military weight more so than to hunt for his missing daughter. So I've got them under arrest in their guest suites. So that was interesting too, that like Tyroth is doing all these sneaky military plans and some set up future hopeful war battles, something to go down. That would be cool to see.
It's the technical term.
Yes.
And Khan kind of senses her motives here, asking how long they'll be around. And he tells him that he looked in like one of their bags and saw some letter or their plans to go to Gore. And she's you know, he's probably sees the wheels turning, and he says, I will have everything arranged for your departure once Illyria is healed, and will do everything in my power to keep Wreck and Dom until the day after you leave the city. And I was like, hell yeah, bro. But also don't let her out of your sight. No, don't do it. And then it says, I can understand why Eloen loved this male with her entire heart. He threads his hand around the small of my back, tucking me into his chest, warm lips brushing against my temple. Come back to me, Rave. To us. Then he's gone. And I wrote, this is it, folks. My boy at the tippity top. Con is at the tippity top, baby. He is there.
Incredible. He has been dethroned. Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
Wow.
Is it just
so excited
barely
about
over
this.
the top, or has he?
It is.
got a
It's
little
not
space.
it's not a far surpassing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
He
there's-
just scooched over and was like, come share the seat.
Yeah. That's a better explanation for it.
Because there's more of Rhysand yet to come, right, in future books.
Yeah.
And there's more of Khan yet to come, so it'll be interesting to
Potentially.
see this tete-a-tete, this battle for the throne.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh man,
This is only one book of Con Bagor,
know,
though, I would
yeah.
also like to point out. So
That's true. It is also, I don't know if you have any like recency bias or anything like that
Right.
when you read.
That's very
Yeah.
possible.
But-
yeah.
yeah.
And I
been a
would
while.
say that I typically do, probably, because it's been it's been quite a bit since I've
Yeah.
read Akatar.
Over a
So
year. Yeah.
Well, for now, he'll enjoy one cheek in it with Rhysand, I guess, on the throne.
One cheek in it.
Sharing that seat.
I don't think either of those males would let that happen.
I understand what you're saying now.
They would if John told them to, I think. You gotta share.
Conwood.
Only one cheek.
Scoot over, mister.
The snort. Oh, that's funny.
Dang it.
Oh, man. All right, we'll get into this here. You're invited to a sorcerer's affair. This April, magic is coming to Kansas City with A Sorcerer's Affair by Bookish Lore Events. We at Between Pages and Friends are thrilled to be a part of it. Join the four of us for an exclusive VIP event before the ball, then stay and dance the night away under enchanted lights at the main event. It's going to be a night of fantasy, books, and unforgettable memories. Tickets go on sale October 4th at bookishloreeventskc.com. And don't forget, you can use our code FRIENDS15 for $15 off your ticket.
And we're picking back up with another diary entry here. This is Eloen's note that she left for Khan. It says, stating that I'd enjoyed our time together, but that Tyroth's a more gifted sire, and everything I need if I'm to breed healthy younglings to maintain my family line, to maintain our ability to protect the Ether Stone. And I was like, yep, I knew it. To protect him and the others from a worse fate. It's all coming together. It's all coming together. And now that I'm thinking about it a little bit more, I'm surprised that Khan kind of bought this. You know what I mean?
Yes, I was about to say that, but I also feel like he probably didn't until he heard that she was pregnant.
Oh yeah, true. Good point.
Because that would have really
He's probably doing a
calcified
little.
that.
He's probably doing a little pining, and then was like, "Oh damn, like she pregnant."
like she was
Crap,
serious.
like,
Yeah.
she did it. Yeah, that's a good point. I agree. I'm on board. Well, I'm on board. I'm on board, but I'm not on board.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Forget the board. Chop up the board.
Oh,
One cheek the board.
One cheek the board.
You're kind of on it, not all the way.
Yeah, actually, that's perfect. Oh my
One
god,
cheek in this theory.
one cheek in it. Oh my god.
I'm crying.
we got calcify, and now we got one cheek in it.
I don't want that on the back of a t-shirt.
It's one cheek. It's not a full moon.
it's not a t-shirt. It's on the shorts.
It's on the short.
It's iconic.
Oh geez.
We can make swimsuit bottoms on fourth wall.
Nice.
With one cheek?
Sign me up.
It's like half of a swimsuit and the other half's just a thong. It's full cheek on the other side.
Oh. Anyway.
Wow.
Gosh.
Wow. And then she just ends this diary entry with, he may never know that the youngling I carry is his, or that I'm pitted with a fear that I won't survive long enough to find a way to make this right. Just like,
Man.
oof, dab in the heart. Literally.
Oh, Lauren.
Too soon?
Is it? She hasn't died
And-
yet. I mean, or has she? Or I don't know what's happening.
Well, and that takes us into chapter 87, Wreck freaking Zaros. And I let out a very audible, like, oh, like when I saw the
I'm
name
sorry, I
of
couldn't
the
hear that.
chapter.
What'd you say?
Oh,
Is anyone else's headphones cutting out?
yeah, it's cutting out. Yeah, I was freaking out. I wanted to share in this moment with Connor, but
so sorry.
apparently she had spoiled this for herself.
Cheater,
It
cheater.
was an accident. It's the podcast's fault.
What
Hey,
happened?
don't blame the.
I
Don't hate
felt
the
so
player.
bad. What?
Wait, that's not right. Don't hate the game.
Wait a minute. Hate the player?
Don't hate the
Hate the
game,
player.
hate the player.
It's your fault. What had happened was last week, I was getting the outline ready to add all my notes. I went to the list of chapters so that I could type in the chapter names. But because I had already finished the section, it started at like chapter 78. So I just saw a list of chapters for the end and I saw Rex Zaros. And I was like, oh shit, I'm not supposed to see that. Scroll away, scroll away. So I ruined this big surprise for myself. On accident, and John was really upset that I already knew about it.
I was pretty bummed
I'm so
because
sorry.
I was
I didn't
gonna.
do it on purpose.
I was planning on filming her, and I was all ready to film her,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Oh yeah, I already saw that."
I wish I didn't, because I would have been so shocked by this.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it, but it happens.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. I am very anti names being listed in like the chapters for all books because that's also happened to me for other things. Or you see like, oh, somebody's
Yeah, I
about
mean,
to
in
die,
the-
but then you're like, oh, but they have a POV in 2 chapters, so like whatever.
Yeah.
Stuff like
Could
that.
be a Dramemory or something. I agree though. Yeah, it can spoil things when you see like who's narrating or whatever.
Right. Well, we do start this chapter with Wreck freaking Zaros, and his accent to me is like one of the most random things about it. And he's like spurring his dragon, and he goes to the saloon, and it's like all of a sudden we're in a Wild West. And I was like, what happened here?
To be fair, he did have the accent at the beginning of the book,
Oh, I
and this is
know.
also a more of a whorehouse, I would say, than a saloon.
Still.
But it is. He does
Back
have
in the day.
spurs, though.
Couldn't tell them apart if you ask me.
yeah. It's given Wild West.
Yeah, I've
It
seen
is
Westworld.
very-
It's the same thing.
Yep.
It's very southern, though. It's a pretty dramatic accent.
Yeah, and I have a note here. He talks about, I don't even know. He mentions in his POV, if I've learned anything from Pa's regular whippings, it's that manners are of the utmost fucking importance. And I just wrote, what a joke. This clown talking about manners. Made me shake my head.
This guy.
This freaking guy.
And then to be the utmost creep of all creeps, he's talking about Kizari here, and he says, she knows I love to chase, that I effing feed off of it. I've decided that's why she chose to hand herself to the creators, why she chose to run. Because when I find her, I'll give her exactly what she refused to admit she wants, me. And I'm like, okay, creeper. Like, you need to go away forever.
Ugh.
And good thing he does, but still.
Yeah.
I really hope when they do meet, she literally has no idea who he is, and she's like, "Who are you?" Just to throw it like, "Oh, he's dead now." But I hoped that when it would be,
She probably didn't know. I hope we still at least get that moment where somebody's like, yeah, Rex Zaros, and she's like, who?
who the hell's that?
Who?
Well, he heads up to his room. It says, I pull the door open, a smile cutting across my face when I see the shapely piece of ass stoking a large fireplace at the back of the room. And I was like, oh, is this going to be Rave? And then she goes down a couple more paragraphs, and I was like, it is Rave! Like, yes! I loved it when this happened. This was a great moment.
And then she's trying to like, she's kind of toying with him about who she is or whatever. And she talks about how she was in the pits and all the things. And he says, unless you're trying to tell me you're Firelark. So he knows something about this and who Firelark is, unless there's more than one Firelark. And the term Firelark is just someone who made it out of the pits. Or is she special with this specific title? And so everyone knows about her? Or
I would assume that this was her specific title in the pits, and Rek only knows about it because he's shady as hell, and he was probably down there, like,
Yeah.
putting people in the pits or, like, betting on the fights or something at some point.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
the pits.
I saw
Family.
that building up at the back of your mind, just waiting for a moment to
The
get
wind
in
up.
there. Yeah,
As soon as you said the pits for the first time, because I know I had said it, but when you said it, that's what brought it to mind. So, always got to bring a
see it
mouse rat in
bubbling
when
up.
you can. Anyways, so she turns around, she stabs him with the iron pin, and he tries to run away, and he goes to the door, and he tries to like open the door with the door handle, and the handle is gone, and it's a hole, so he reaches in, and she puts freaking like razors in the door handle
Yes.
to slice
crazy.
against it. Like the forethought for this moment
Yeah.
is insane, and
She'd been thinking about it.
Genius. Wild.
So good.
And that takes us into chapter 88, The Other. And the first part of the first sentence here, the other straddles Wreck-Azaris. And I was like, I effing knew it. I knew we were going to get another chapter toward the end, if not
You did.
the last chapter. It's not the last chapter, but I knew
It's
we were going to
almost
get
the last
one.
chapter.
Yeah, I knew we were going to get
The
one.
penultimate chapter.
I
knew
do
it.
just want to also shout out the narrators for the other chapter narrations with it back and forth. And again,
again.
all the way from episode
Killing it.
1. If you are still not listening to the audiobook, go listen to those two chapters specifically with the back and forth.
Right now.
I also
Yes.
just feel like it gives a lot more insight on what's narration and what is actually like Atra or Rave or whoever's like thought process in it, since it switches like sometimes middle of the paragraph between the two.
Mid-sentence. Yeah.
Between the two narrators and stuff. So it's really well done. So amazing. And then Connor, you had mentioned that some of your friends asked if you got that it was Slotra at the end, and I was like, okay. And I got here, and it doesn't ever actually say specifically that it is, and so it is, I guess, technically still a theory since it hasn't been word for word in the book that it is her. But I just put some evidence for why I believe it is, where Rek says you're dead, and the other chuffs. Strictly speaking, he's not incorrect because Slotra is calcified in the sky. And then the other says, you protected her eyes, talking about Leary, didn't you? That was nice. A small mercy that was not bestowed upon herself many cycles ago. So kind of referencing what happened to her there. But yeah, it doesn't ever actually say, this is her. I think we've all calcified that at this point.
Yeah.
But I'm here for that. And say that's
Yeah,
right.
me too.
So.
Well, and there's stuff about it throughout the entire book, but yeah, it was interesting. Like even Khan looking at Rave and being like, "Oh, I just found the most important piece," and then literally when he has Slotra, there's one piece missing, and it's right where Rave was curled up. Like there's a lot of those little things, but. Yeah, I was surprised. I finished the book and my friends were like, what about the last chapter? And they were talking about this one. It's like, what crazy theory are you talking about? And then after a few minutes, I was like, oh, do you mean that it's Slotra? And they were like, yeah.
I thought that at the beginning.
So funny to me. Oh my gosh. But this part concerns me a smidge. This is what I was talking about earlier. In the other POV, it says the one she loves, meaning Rave, did not fall easily into the watery den. She battled and slashed, kicked and screamed, then only went still and quiet once the other, meaning Slotra, packed Rave in a tomb of ice to protect her. But this is the last that we hear anything about Rave. We didn't get any descriptions like this before. It seemed like is this only the second chapter we've gotten of the other?
Yep.
Yep.
So the first time it seemed like Rave knew that it was happening. Rave knew the other was going to take over. And she was like, I'm not going to get credit for his death because this is happening now. And I wouldn't necessarily say she was like excited about it, but like she knew it was happening and it sounded like she was sort of submitting to it. So this was super interesting that she's like kicking and screaming. And then Slotra had to literally pack her into a tomb of ice to protect her. So is Rave going to be stuck like this? Or did Slotra only do this long enough to kill Wreck? I am not sure if it was like this difficult to get her to submit to Slotra taking over.
I feel like it wasn't a fight necessarily against Slotra taking over because she just didn't want her to, like, you know, like that she would be stuck there or something like that. Like it's not like Slotra was trying to be vindictive or evil or something and keep her there. It sounded more just that Rave's literal one motivation this entire book is to get revenge on this guy, and it's being taken away from her in this moment. And so she was trying to fight for that moment.
Yes.
To me. And I wasn't,
Yes.
I don't still think I'm worried about this. But
I am a little worried about it, but I don't know, because before it was like, it seems like every other time that this has happened, Slotra only takes over long enough to murder the person, and then Rave wakes up later and like things are back to normal. But just some of the other descriptions in this chapter sort of made it sound like this was like just how it is for right now. Although I don't know, it says to protect her, and I don't know if that means just to protect her from like Wreck potentially hurting her, or if she's trying to protect her from other things, like the knowledge that Slatra probably maybe has, but that she doesn't. Like, because we also find out that Slatra's been blocking out Ignos in order to not like trigger Rave. So I don't know if this means more than just this one specific instance, but I do think it's really interesting that Raigan and Slatra can sort of communicate through Rave. Like the moment that she first saw Raigan earlier in the book, I forget, maybe chapter 28, I think it was like earlier on. And as soon as she saw Raigan, Slatra like burst up out of the ice and started like singing through Rave to Raigan in like a language that Rave didn't know. So it just would be really interesting to see if she is still Slatra for a while and if Raigan could like communicate with her somehow while she is the other. That was sort of where my brain went. Maybe that's completely off the wall and not warranted at all, but I do think that would be cool.
Guess we'll find out in April.
April.
Maybe.
My only note for this chapter was just Wreck screaming. It says his muffled cries of pain turning to whittled whimpers, and just noting that he bought out the floor so he could, quote, make this bitch squeal without others listening in. So I put kind of a poor decision in retrospect, huh? Don't you wish you had someone next door who might be able to hear you? But it also makes me
squealing.
It also makes me kind of wonder if Rave had not somehow arrived first or whatever, and the lady up front who was just like, blue eyes, yeah, sure, I got a room for you. And like, just already knew that she was sending him up to meet with this, because I mean, I don't know, she was prepared. She'd been there for a while. She replaced a whole doorknob and everything. So I would love to feel like that lady was just like, oh yeah, I know him. You can kill him.
Yeah, I would think he's been there before. At least it sounds like he has. So
Frequents the Velvet Snog. Classic Wreck.
Get wrecked,
Get wrecked.
Ooh.
got him.
This part of the other's POV I just thought was hilarious, and it was totally giving Andarna to me. It says, eating this wreck is probably a step too far. Unfortunate, considering how delicious his fried flesh smells. No, must not.
That is so Andarna coded.
It is. That made me laugh. And then in the others' dialogue, I guess, it says, though you may not have understood Lyri's pained sounds, I did. Unlucky for you, I'm here to show you exactly how she felt. And I was like, you know what? Hell yeah. So excited.
Yep.
That she gets, like, I know Rave has been plotting this revenge the entire book, but I'm also really happy that Slatra got it too.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of continues, and this is when we get some insight into the elemental songs for Rave, but Slatra, or the other, says he doesn't know about rain, doesn't know that it's actually 4. Neither does the one she loves, referencing Rave. The other having gone out of her way to absorb Ignos' spitting, scalding tune so it doesn't trigger her strong but delicate host. And I just wrote, boom diggity calcify.
Boom diggity calcify.
All right. Yeah.
I love that.
And it goes on to say, until she's ready. So I'm really hoping for some epic moment where she just like, I don't know, breathes fire on a heck ton of people or something. And it's super cool. I'm ready for it.
I do think this was like really wild to me, again, that Slatra is the one like blocking out some of this stuff from Rave. But didn't Con mention that Eloen could hear all 4 earlier? Didn't he say that when he was like, she
remember.
like cried with rain and she, whatever the, like something with Boulder.
I thought he said he wasn't sure.
Or was it just in his
Ignos.
POV? Maybe he didn't finish that sentence out loud.
I feel like it was enough that we all inferred that she meant all 4, but I guess, yeah, it didn't say outright.
So maybe she doesn't know, but Con does. I feel like Con knows. But maybe not.
Condos?
Condos.
That sounded like it.
I feel like there's a timeshare in here. So I don't know. Okay.
Okay, and we're on to our final chapter, chapter 89. We're finishing off with Vea here. As she is winding up the stairs, it says, coming to an ornamental mirror on the wall, I pause, tucking strands of pale hair behind my pointed ears, checking my sharp, pretty features and blue eyes for any cracks in my imitative appearance, jarring as it is to see myself as not me. And before she confirms it, I was like, I'm assuming this is the bangle at work, and we do get that confirmation like shortly after this.
And I wrote LOL at us thinking the bangle held memories, and it does something completely different.
Yeah. It's got like a needle, and you just got to like prick the person that you want to imitate, and then you got it.
Yeah.
Wild.
That was one of those things that whenever you guys guessed it, I was like, yeah, sure, holds memories. Why not?
But
I'll
honestly,
go with that.
Yeah.
if the Trog can consume the memories of the object, this probably does have some really wild ones in it.
Probably. Yeah. That's why she said it was so juicy.
Yeah, because it didn't only have Veya's, but probably all the people that she's ever done that to.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because she got it from who'd she get it from?
A mind weft?
Yeah. A weird mind.
Yeah, who
left
had
or
studied
something.
the Book
Yeah.
of Void or something. Yeah. So we don't even know how old it is.
Who says he can talk with Kalis.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It goes on to say, as she's making her way up, this place is a labyrinth, each doorway bracketed by stern, silver-armored guards known as thorns. And I loved this. I thought this was so cool that these dudes are called thorns. I thought that was an amazing word for them. That was pretty cool. And then she runs into another maid or servant or whatever. And as she sees her coming up the stairs, she says, "You're late, Ada." The foreign name snaps at my spine, reminds me that I'm not Tyroth's sister, not at the moment. I'm not the one that took his mother from him. And I didn't remember this, but I was like, childbirth perhaps, or did we know this? So thanks for the confirmation here, Con.
Oh, yeah. I believe this was confirmed earlier that Ostern's wife died giving birth to Veya, and that's at least part of the reason that Ostern, Kadok, and Tyroth really hate Veya, even though that's literally not her fault.
Gotcha. Forgot about that.
Yeah. I had a quick note here about the description of Tyroth. Do we think that there's a reason that he has one green eye and one black eye? Because it does describe it as their mother's green eyes, their mother's eyes were green, and then the black eye is just described as the pit of his septic soul. But apparently he does have one of each. And Rave's eyes turn black when she's the other. So I was just wondering if it's possible that something might be going on with Tyroth too, or is this just a coincidence and he totally sucks?
I agree he totally sucks no matter which one. But I don't know what's happening here. And I'd be interested to have the description of Kadok and see if he also has one green or one black since they're twins or something's going on there.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I don't know.
Ooh, I forgot about that.
It's the other eye for him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just opposite. Yeah. My next note was Tyroth saying to not Ada, he said, "Tell me, Ada, do you think that carrying my bastard brings you certain privileges?" And I wrote, "Well, fuck." I was not expecting that.
Well, and he goes on to talk about how, he already has an heir, and even though she's off traipsing around somewhere and he doesn't know where she's at and all these things, but that's not true. Kizari is not his daughter, and that this baby, as far as we know, is the only heir that Tyroth actually has. So that could potentially come up someday if we have this time jump or something, and this kid has some sort of claim to something or thinks he does, or who knows what.
I feel like the answer is also
be
just
wild.
yes. That should get you some privilege that you're carrying their child.
I meant that he's going to say he should have the crown or something.
Oh, no, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Something more than just being part of the family kind of a thing.
I'm confused about this though, because so technically Kizari would be the heir to the burn because she's Khan's daughter, or would she also be the heir to both because she's Eloen's daughter and Eloen is the queen of the shade? Because sometimes I feel like traditionally the paternal line matters more, but in this case the maternal line is the one bearing the ether stone. So I would think that her heritage where Eloen is concerned would be more important. But then if Tyroth were to have died without an heir, would Arkan be the one to take over the shade technically, or
Well, they don't
wouldn't
know
it
he
have
exists, but
well, I know, but I mean they also don't know that Kizari is not his daughter, so would she still be the rightful heir even if she wasn't his?
I think if Eloen died as Queen of the Shade, in everyone's mind she is dead, then that power would have fully transferred to Tyroth. So it would have had to have been his kid and his kid only. She's sort of out of the picture due to death at that point.
But Kizari still is bearing I mean, it passed directly from Eloen to Kizari. That's why I'm
But does it say
don't
that
know.
whoever the wearer of the ether stone has to be the queen of the shade, or in the shade specifically, or just...
Well, see, I don't know, because Ostern was saying, I think in order to manipulate her into marrying Tyroth, that she would have had to be married to someone who was a tri-beat or whatever for people to take her seriously as the queen or to accept her as the queen. But I don't know that that's necessarily true.
I think
or
that's
necessary.
just Tyroth, or the dad
Ostern
trying
being
to,
a
Ostern
little
trying
bee.
to, get his way about whichever kid he wants in which power place. So
Yeah,
I don't know. But this whole scene, no matter what was happening, I was just really nervous that he was going to try to like kiss her or something, like Tyroth with Ada, because he like grabs her chin at one point and some of this other stuff, and like he's just really rude the whole entire time. Surprise, surprise. But I was really glad it didn't like take it a creepy step. I was just like, oh no, he's gonna, the whole time.
Me too. Oh, that would have been awful.
Horrible.
I had a quick note that I just thought this was really cool, and I hope it comes up more in book 2, which, like, I say that. I don't want it to come up because that means everybody's separated, but they are separated right now. It just said, whenever either of us are beyond the safety of Dom, Con and I, meaning Con and Vea, write our notes in invisible ink illuminated only by dragon flame, which we both carry a weld of, which I just think is super cool. But it does sound like they are going to be maybe separated for a while because we don't know what happens to Vea after this chapter. So,
well, yeah, we leave her in Tyroth's chamber, dressed as his like mistress at the time. Like, so who knows? It's But she does say, like, I can't believe I knocked out his pregnant mistress. How horrible when the poor thing is already living a slumber terror. I make a mental note to pad her pockets with enough bloodstone to buy her a better life before I wake her from her forced sleep and go on my way. And I was like, well, that's nice of you because that is your niece or nephew in there. So that's kind of you to take care of them. But also with all these theories about what's going to happen to this kid, if we do go into book 2 and Ada does run away somewhere with the child, maybe we never see them and that's not a thing at all. Or I don't know. Maybe. Lots of question marks.
I don't know where this is exactly, but at some point she says, anything less will be like a sip of water that turns to lava in my throat. And I just thought this was a really nice sentence. I wrote, nice sentence, Sarah, you wizard. That's a good one. And as she heads into the sleep suite there, and she's like looking for spots that Eloen could have hid the diary, she notes that half the room had been crumbled when her moon plume, referencing Slatra, broke through the wall after Eloen passed away, scooping up her lifeless body. She then carried into the sky where she curled around her and died. And I was just like, oh, damn. And that's a little bit of confirmation of like kind of what happened, because we didn't really know any specifics up until then. So we at least know that, Slatra came in here and snatched her up and then took her up. And then last note here for the chapter, my hand pushes into a jagged hollow, a lump forming in my throat as my fingers graze across the face of a leather-bound book. There you are. And I was like, holy shit, we got the diary,
I've been looking
people.
for you.
We got the diary, people.
Crazy. And that's like exciting. And then the diary entry happens, and the POV in the diary entry was a blood lace has arrived up on Dragonback this rise. If she's here to test my youngling's blood once I give birth, the paternal line won't draw in Tyroth's direction, it'll draw north to Khan. So my revised theory, I guess, is that rather than Austern stabbing Eloen immediately after producing an heir, Tyroth may have stabbed her because of this, that he believed the child to be his and then found out that Eloen lied in like probably a really embarrassing way after Kazari was born. But this is just also further confirmation that I was super wrong, and I totally thought the baby was not Khan's. I just was not expecting him to not even know.
Well, this is why I think Vea's mind was wiped without her permission, or like it was forced on her. Like she maybe was in the room or something when all of this went down. And so they like just wiped her whole entire time of being there with Eloen from her memory. And was maybe like super threatened and all this other stuff that makes her super scared about trying to go get those memories back, because she was like all freaking out and knew it would be such a big deal and hadn't done it obviously for the 100 years since it had happened. So that's where I'm at, calcified with that theory for Vea, that it was this time, not those other 30 days or whatever that happened.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But obviously we don't know that
I
she
like
was
that,
physically in this room. It just feels like something major happened there that they would want to wipe.
I think
I was. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you go right ahead.
No, you go.
I was just going to say that whenever Khan does find out that it's his daughter, I think that's going to be his, like, no more holds on Khan. Like, he's going to go ballistic when he finds that out.
I hope so. That would be great. Let's go, dude. Let's see his wrath.
Yeah. I think the only reason I was assuming Vea wasn't there was because we know Khan wasn't there.
Right.
And I think in my head, those were just the same. But I think you're right. I don't think that there was ever any confirmation. I think we just knew Vea didn't know how Eloen died.
Yeah. And I just feel like with how close they seemed as friends during that time and whatever,
Yeah.
that if Eloen was actually going through something, Vea would be there. But I don't know. All she remembered was the note that
Right.
Khan was given. But that doesn't mean, obviously, that she still wasn't there in that moment and whatever else. That's just the last thing she remembered.
Yeah.
Or was told that this note happened and accept it or whatever. I don't know.
And Vea's POV here after reading the final diary entry, she says, "To die right here, to not see Kazari grow, for Tyroth to raise Khan's daughter as his own. I close the diary, a venomous truth settling in my chest like a serpent poised to strike. These pages are going to rip the world to shreds." And I was like, Connor! Oh my God.
I think it's such a cool idea, though, that this whole entire book, Vea has been sitting there reading this diary. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, we kind of got it from the very beginning of the book because Vea sits there and reads the whole thing, you know, and it brings us to this point. Like, I don't know. It's kind of neat. But
That's exactly what I was about to say. Like going back and picturing each of those entries being read by her gives it a whole different.
in that moment, yeah.
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 Pretty cool.
And then we get
Crazy.
the final, we get the epilogue, the Scavenger King. And at first I was excited either way, but I was pretty excited when I thought this was a flashback of Rave, but then finding out that it was Kazari. But I was like, oh damn, he's got Kazari. Also, how long has he had her? Like the entire book almost. Like,
Yeah.
geez, it was just pretty crazy.
At least a month, right? Because, like, Khan went away for those 30 days or whatever. That Rave and them had that separation.
And she had knee. She's had knee for a while, I feel like.
Yeah, chapter 13 was when Kazari and Khan had their conversation. Chapter 14 was when Essie died and Rave sent Knee back. And this was her receiving Knee back from Rave.
Yeah.
So so it's been since like the beginning of the book.
Crazy. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, in my mind, I thought that she had sent this to Rave while she was here, but she didn't.
No, because Rave had knee for a very long time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
She had her for 5 phases.
And
is like-
that
For a piece of paper. It was wild.
and I'm assuming she kind of sent this, I don't know if it was specifically to like, I want to send this to my mom. And she never expected it to return. And then
Well,
it
'cause-
bumps into her and then she's like, oh crap, like, is she alive? Because she maybe have just sent this out, like never expecting.
Just in desperation.
Yeah, she just needed to send it out to say that she needed her mom, not expecting anything. And now it just came back to her and she's like, what? Hold on a second. I thought she was dead. I thought my mom was dead. Pretty crazy.
Well, one of the things Connor had talked about with her reasoning that knee was from Kizari had said whenever her school teacher was mean to her, she used to write little firelark notes and throw them into the fire and just like randomly just throw away notes like that all the time.
Yeah.
So this is probably just one of those that she did on a whim because she had done those 100 times and didn't think anything of it probably in that moment. Just whatever. Wild. Well, the Scavenger King is looking at Kizari and says she's speaking to someone. Of that he's certain. Just as certain as he is that this particular someone only exists within the confines of her particular mind. So this is assumingly Kalis, because Kizari's in love with him. Whatever that means. And is just sitting there having conversations with him in her mind. So I'm really looking forward to a Kizari POV. Hopefully
Me
one
too.
day.
So that'll be
And
super
seeing what that looks
interesting.
like.
All the italics.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Bring them back.
Yeah, and then Arkin's POV here, he says she is, after all, his niece. And I was like, the fuck? Oh, man, I was not expecting this one to come through. So this one was a big surprise.
Yeah, the line continues and it says, not that she knows that, not that any of his half-brothers knows he exists as far as he's aware, but they will. And I wrote, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
I have some more thoughts on this, but I'll just save them for the end of the chapter.
And he continues and says he's resentful of her being Kizari's plush life, of the way her pa dotes on her, loves her. I think he's referencing that his father didn't do those things to himself, and that's why he's like mad that happened to Kizari. But that means that Tyroth loves her and dotes on her. is what I'm getting here. I don't get that energy from Tyroth, but
I
the
don't
Scavenger
either.
King's information is wrong and just sees like what is presented to the world and not what happens behind closed doors kind of an energy. But
Yeah, that's kind of what I got from it. Like if people know that Tyroth is sending people out to look for Kazari, even though it seems like he has an ulterior motive in sending people to the burn, like maybe that's all that he sees, and coming from his outside looking in sort of perspective is jealous anyway.
If he's also like the unknown half-brother who has not had the life of royalty, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Anyone who's even like had some time living in a palace with all of your needs attended to, or at least available to be attended to, is probably going to be like a few steps above your means of living, where he could be jealous of it, because he's obviously been kicked out or left out of people even knowing he exists. So
yep. Which I'm very interested to know the story behind that and who his mom is and whatever else. So, but he continues on and says the only seat he cares about is the bronze throne of the burn that rightfully belongs to him, and later says he has plans for the great Khan Vagor. And I'm like, okay, let's set up a plot. Let's set up some future story. Let's learn something. I'm so excited. And then he has Kizari sign this paper, which she does. Just does. She does not question this action.
She asked for it.
Does she? I thought he just has her sign a paper.
Well, it said the first thing that she did was demand a parchment lark to send to Khan.
Oh, okay. I missed that, but sure. And then she includes on the side, kill the sadistic fuck. And the fact that he just like laughs at that and sends the note anyway, and he's just like toying with Khan, and I don't know, it's a whole thing. Or assumingly it went to Khan, but
I feel like this was some sort of ransom note situation where that just like played into what he was hoping for. That's crazy. Oh, and then at the very end, it says this like parchment lark flies in, and it says Kazari flinches, opens her eyes. The lark flips onto its back, bearing 3 small, perfectly scripted letters upon the underside of its belly. Neat. And I wrote, Chapter 13. Thank you very much. I did waffle on that theory a little bit, but that was my original theory, and I'm very proud of that.
you did it.
Thank you. So proud. Also terrified for Kazari. But my overall thoughts on this chapter, because I did not really take any notes while I was reading it for the first time. It was more of just like a jaw drop, what is happening kind of thing. I am actually like really pleased about this because it didn't make sense, like trying to theorize who was holding Rave captive and like why all of these terrible things happened to her. And so I am really glad that it wasn't just some character where this didn't really make sense for their motivations. Like I love that this is setting us up for a bigger bad in the next story. And I actually really love that it's not just Kalis, because I was expecting, because it was the only thing I knew at the time, something to have happened with Kazari, because we know she's trying to free Kalis. But I think it would be too early if this, I think the series is supposed to be 5 books, question mark? I think it would be way too early for the gods to be like directly involved if that's going to be like an overarching plot line through the rest of the story. So I really loved how this book ended. And I think it could make sense because Ostern seemed so displeased with Khan his whole life, and that he was only like a dual bead instead of a tri bead. And then they tried to have another son, but it was Vea, like it was a girl, and then Ostern's wife died giving birth to her. I could see maybe Arkin being the result of Ostern trying to secure another heir in secret after his wife had passed, because he was like trying to obtain another heir and it didn't happen with his wife. So I could see that happening, and maybe him keeping it a secret because he knew how powerful Khan was, even though he was only a dual bead. I don't know if he knew that Khan is like Dagamork with Raigan or something, but I don't know that he would have directly trained up Arkin in secret. But Arkin obviously believes that the burn belongs to him, and maybe Ostern was trying to do that and just didn't get the chance because Khan killed him. So I feel like there's so much there with their backstory, but I am really interested to see if whoever Arkin's mother is might be important or come back into the story later, because we don't really know anything about her. Do we know if she's alive or dead?
who, Arkin's mom?
Yeah. Did we
it
get that here at all?
I was just looking in the family tree at the very end, and it just says unnamed female.
Yeah.
That's all it says.
Okay.
So
yeah. So that could go either way. I feel like it could either not be important at all because it could be a servant, like what Tyroth is doing with Ada, or maybe she is important. I don't know. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that.
All right. That's the whole frickin' book. So let's get into our overall thoughts and star ratings. John?
4 stars. Although I am slightly battling this number, I think it's the ending that has lowered it for me. I'm battling between like a 4 and a 5 because I feel like if I had maybe read all the way through, it might be a 5, but because we had split it up into sections, and this last section I just felt like moved really quickly. There were a lot of those diary entries that were like a page and a half long, and you're just like diary entry, like boop, you flip a page and you're on to the next thing. So I wanted like more out of the last bit here. But again, like I said, if I was reading it all the way through one time, then maybe I still would have given it a 5. So that's where I'm like struggling. So either way, top fantasy read for me. I felt like I was on the edge of my seat the entire book. I was always looking forward to reading like whatever was coming next. It was refreshing to get like a green flag type of male main character instead of someone who like, you know, can't get past their past or is like the typical morally gray and goes in and out of treating the female main character like garbage and like then like they can't breathe without her. Like they're just like waffling. But I also felt super connected with the writing and the world building. Like I feel like it's very beautifully written, and like Lauren had a comment she mentioned the last episode where there was some poetry in the way that Sarah wrote things or how she just like formulated her description to describe something like fairly normal, but she used a different way and just some different wording to just kind of use her imagination a little bit. And of course, a new top main man. So it's nothing to sneeze at, you know what I mean?
I love that you were like 4 stars maybe. Top fantasy book ever. Top book boyfriend ever.
I get it,
But
though.
I
The pacing
do,
could
yeah.
change things, yeah.
It does, yeah. And the end I feel like has taken me a bit to process. And I am like really pleased with it now. I wasn't like displeased with it at first, but I think it just like there is a lot happening. And it is book 1, so there's a ton of questions that you're left with. But I ended up really appreciating that. So my rating for this book was 5 stars. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. This was my top read of 2025 for sure. I know the writing style is controversial just from what I've heard, but I love how poetic it is. I love that the author doesn't like spell everything out for you. There's so much subtext and complexity to her characters and their stories, and it simultaneously hints at a ton of answers and also gives you a million more questions. But I love that. I love the really deep lore and how immersive and lived in this world feels. It makes me really excited for the rest of the series because it feels like Sarah just has some really wild things planned. And this may warrant an Akratar reread for me, but I'm pretty confident that Convagor has also knocked Rhysand out of my top spot for book boyfriends.
Oh my god.
Which is quite an accomplishment, Sarah A. Parker. So 5 stars. Lauren?
All right, settle in, folks. I give this 3 stars, and if
Come
I did
on.
half stars, I would do
your half
2.5.
star.
2.5. I really struggled with this book, and it's been hard on the podcast too because I can't share any of my feelings since I know what happens, like, you know, with me being the rereader. So I don't know. On my first read for the preparation of this podcast, I kept saying I didn't like it because I did read it on my own, and like Kyle was reading, but I read through it so much faster than he did, and I had just kind of like a solo run of it, and I was really confused at stuff. I didn't understand it. I usually read along people, whether or not it's all of you or just Connor by ourselves or whatever. So I really debated for a really long time if we should even do this book for the podcast. Like I feel like I had so many vague conversations with Con about like my feelings, trying not to spoil the book, but also being like, I don't know about this book, you know, and all of the things. But after like doing some of my own research and seeing other like content creators and other people we trust saying how much they love the book, I obviously decided to go for it. And I knew Con and John would love it, which they did. So that all worked out. But after my reread, my feelings on this book have only calcified and I am just not a fan. This is just not my book. And I've debated even longer if I should share my specific feelings feelings on that on podcast, because I don't want in any way my feelings to be negative about the author or the fantastic book that they did right and that other people love, or to make my feelings hurt anyone else's experience. That's why I haven't really shared much, because I wanted Con and Jon to just like love the read and all the people following along. But we've had so many DMs, so many, I know you're out there, of other people who this just wasn't your book either. I've had a lot of conversations since finishing this book about it with those people who feel the same as me. So I'm going to share some of my feelings, and this is your moment to skip forward if you don't care, or respectfully disagree with me, or disagree with Con, Jon, and whatever Kyle's rating is on this too. And so you do you. Don't come at me. This is just my feelings about this book. Okay. So in my opinion, and this is for you guys too, to just accept and move on. In my opinion, literally nothing happens in this book. Everything that we have learned actually happened 100+ phases ago. And the POV that we have of this person just doesn't remember and refuses to learn that information. There is no forward movement for that character, only ever looking back. We go about this story in a blind confusion for about 600 pages, learning scraps of a story that already happened in the past. There's no current plot in this book. There's no future plot, right, of this specific book until that last chapter. There's not a bad guy. There's not a competition. There's nothing to overcome. There's no strategy. There's very little action. And even the spicy action we get is a memory from over 100-something years ago. And when we finally get information about this bad guy and potential war and all the thing, it's literally the epilogue with the Scavenger King. The world building is amazing. The world building is phenomenal, and the creatures and all the places and all the things. It's a huge shout out to the world building, but world building is not plot. It is not the story. And we get to see so much of the world, but that made it feel kind of choppy to me. Like, I kept trying to learn the world and make theories, and you guys did the same on the podcast with like episode 1 and theories about Kalis and Serene and Hervile, the Fear to Wrath, and the Elding or Prince Turin being hidden. And then we completely leave it and go somewhere completely different. And now we have theories on the Fate Herder or the people of the Joku clan. And then we completely leave it and we go somewhere else. And now there's theories on Grimm and his dragon. But none of that is ever in the rest of the story. We just leave it, and it's lost to this figuring out our memory situation that we take all book to learn. But finally, in the end, maybe this is the most toxic thing I'm about to say, but I just think Conveger is too perfect for me to be in love with him. There's just no room for growth. Maybe I like the morally gray, maybe that's what it is, or the own personal struggles and all of the things, but he's just too amazing. And if anything, it makes me worried that he's going to die off because he has no room for growth, or he's going to turn evil or something has to happen to his character. There's just no way from book 1 to book potentially 5 he's the exact same the entire time. Like, something has to happen there. I don't know. So yeah, the writing in this is so beautiful, very poetic. And like Jon was describing earlier, how I've described multiple times in the podcast episodes, it's wonderful. But I honestly think if you took out the poetic writing, we would have a short story of maybe 100 pages or less about a girl who gets her memories back. Everything else was pretty predictable, as we saw, because you got all your theories right and nothing else really happens. If I was reading this alone, I don't think I would pick up the next one. I do, however, really enjoy our conversations about it. It did really help me understand a lot more. And I'm really, really hoping that book 2 has like a good forward-moving plot for us to follow and just move forward, not just with living Rave refusing to get her memories back, because that's still where we are with her. She never took a step out of that, but only time will tell. And I guess I'm going to be content living as the bad guy of the series, where I just didn't like it like the rest of y'all did. So there it is. That's my feelings. Been holding it in.
Well, there you have it, folks. Send
There
your
you have it.
respectful DMs to Laura.
Ooh, respectful, please.
Yes, respectful.
Books are for some and some are not for others, so it's fine.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's totally fine. I will say, though, I'm not the lowest rating for once. I rated it 3.9 stars.
Yes,
The curse has been broken.
Oh my gosh.
Kyle, real quick, is this
Yeah.
your highest rating so far of any
I'm
of the
pretty sure
podcast
Tower
books?
of Dawn was at least 4. I'm pretty sure Tower of Dawn made
It could have
the
been a
break into
4-1
the
or something.
4. Yeah, but
Or maybe 4.2. I feel like I vaguely remember that.
maybe.
But this is
Maybe 4.3.
mind blown. This is
1.44.
amazing.
I will say I also really struggled with this book, at least for the first read. In fact, like when we were both done with it, I think we've said before, maybe even on the podcast, Lauren and I both went to each other. We were like, what the hell's going on? Like, we read this
I was
whole
like,
book and I don't understand
what
anything.
even just happened? Did anything just happen? I was like, what? So then when we're on this reread and Kyle tells me he's put it 3.9, I was like, I thought you were on my side. What the heck?
But
what changed?
It's the second read did help make sense of things and also clarified things that were very unanswered. I don't think there's anything wrong with having questions, given that this is the first book in a series. There are also things, for the most part, that don't matter to the story being told in this book. Like Lauren said, there's like the Fate Herder. We sort of joked about being like almost like there to get the story back on track is what it felt like. But who knows? It could make a bigger part in a later book. But for now, it just goes like, well, that was kind of like a weird little side character. I do like to rate books as if they were standalone books, and I stand by that. Because every book in a series should be able to stand on its own. It shouldn't rely on the books around it. And you run into that a lot most of the time with books in the middle of a series, I feel like, where it's sort of just bridging the two major parts together. That said, I really struggled with the format of the story. I talked to Lauren about this. I was like, is this man versus self? Is this man versus nature? Is this a hero's journey? A 3-act? Is it Greek tragedy? I can't, place what's happening here. But overall, bear with me on this. I think it's a mix of man versus self due to Rave trying to find who she is. Assassin, rebel, Eloen reborn, lover, fighter, etc. Can she choose one? Can she be all of it at once? But I'm digging deep into my English classes in college here, mixed with a storytelling technique called Kishotenketsu, that is a Chinese storytelling technique where there is no greater evil to be slain. The big moment that culminates in the story is at the end where she's starting to realize I'm in the same place that I once was, and I'm finding a balance between my multiple identities. There's no villain, there's no battle, like Lauren said, but there is a twist. There's still a twist, even though there's not an epic fight or a villain to be slain currently. So I truly did enjoy not only a very well thought out world and character, a cast of characters, but a shift from that usual fantasy formula. I feel like that's probably maybe why it got rated a little higher, is because even John said, characters are different. We're not dealing with the same morally gray thing, the same relationship dynamics and stuff like that. And it was just sort of a breath of fresh air. I do hope on Lauren's side that it does get more intense later on. I feel like we have read some books, not even on the podcast, but in book club, where it's it's a bit of a slow start, but the last 3/4 of the book is super intense because now you already know the characters. So maybe that's what I'm hoping for with the continuation of the series is okay, we've nailed down who and where everyone is, and now we're going to get into the craziness of it. But
I just feel like that goes against your rating a book for a book, though. Because the book didn't
No,
do
I'm
that.
saying this book alone, 3.9. It won't change with future books, but I do hope the story moves on and progresses towards that more, larger issue thing. Because I feel like this is a good place to start. Man versus self. Solve your own problems and then move out into the greater world.
Also, this whole debate is really funny to me because one of the only things I knew about this book is that it was a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
That's what a mystery novel is. It's
but the Throne of Glass book 1, there's a lot of mystery there. There's a character who doesn't really know all the things and all the stuff.
I mean,
but
I know you can
there's
add more.
a game happening on the side. There's this challenge. There's there's other stuff happening in the plot for only that book that then we move on. And so it's that kept it, I don't know, made it feel like something was happening, not just.
Yeah. Also, when we read that, I feel like a lot of people were I thought this was about a trial, and then it wasn't about the trial at all. So I feel like there's definitely still a balance. And I do agree that this isn't a plot-driven book. This is definitely more of world-building information, character development sort of thing. But I think a lot of the things that, just based on her writing already, I feel like all the things she introduced in this book, even though she hasn't come back to them yet, I think are going to all play a huge part later on in the series, which is why I wasn't mad about it personally in this in this one book, because it felt like all of these things are going to circle back around.
The only two things that I will respectfully disagree with Lauren is that you said there was no action and no spice, and the only spice we got was from 100 years ago. They did have current spice scenes. They're not the spiciest in the world.
I said very little.
Yes, we also
didn't say
did get
no.
some pretty good fight scenes, current fight scenes
John?
with Khan and them, and like the whole decapitation of the people that were trying to take her as a wife of the Jokul clan and stuff. Again, not your epic battles. The only other thing was the only story we learned happened 100 years ago is sort of the same thing as saying, like, if you read Lord of the Rings and you were like, I don't care about Sauron, that happened a long time ago. I was like, well, the current story is going to play into it a little bit. You just got to give it a sec.
Yes, but there was other story happening at the same time. And then those little pieces came in and affected the bigger story. It wasn't an entire book just to figure out the old story.
Okay.
Like, that's what I was like saying earlier in the episode, even with her wanting to kill Wreck and then getting stopped. Like, that is the only thing she's ever wanted. The only motivation Rave has had is to kill Wreck. She has no motivation to learn her past. She has no motivation to even be around Khan. She has like no motivation. She wants to run away and kill Wreck. Like, that is the goal. That is thesis statement. That's all she has. Bullet point number 1. And so it's just like, I don't know. I just wanted more from her, maybe, and maybe we get that. But while you're talking, one of the DMs that we got came to mind where someone
already
said, it felt like no, someone else said it felt like a prologue. Like, this book was one big prologue for the rest of what's going to happen, and that just makes me. Do we need to stop whatever's happening?
Sorry, that was Minnie.
Yeah, it was Minnie. She was in here messing
You're
around with
just getting
stuff.
up, so I was like, ugh. But yeah, that is just one big prologue for the rest of the series, and to me, it doesn't encourage me to want to continue the series.
Yeah.
I just be like,
I could see that. I have a coworker
and me
even who
and
refuses.
the others that feel that way. Whatever.
Yeah. I have a coworker who's refusing to read this right now. Not refusing, but putting off because it's incomplete. And I honestly could see that maybe like when it's a completed series, and if I read through the whole thing and I was like, oh yeah, I've told you before that I hate when people say it, but like, oh, it gets better by the 3rd book. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be 2 books deep worried about when it gets good. I want it to start off. But yeah, if it's like a whole series where you're like, yes, the first one is sort of a prologue where you meet characters and stuff like that, and then it gets more intense later on, I totally get that viewpoint. To be stuck where all you have available right now is the prologue, I could understand the aggravation there.
But that's a long prologue, if that's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all right. Those are my
opinions.
These are my opinions.
And we'll bring them back up in the Q&A. Get to the cry
There's
counter.
100 things in this book. Like, we can go back and listen to the episodes that I raved about and like gushed over, and certain lines and things that happen. Like, there are parts of this book that are great. That's why it's still 3 stars. I just overall was not anywhere near a 5-star and anywhere near a top book boyfriend for me.
I mean, I will say even your 2.5 rating is literally like, that's average. That's a perfectly average book. It's not bad
played
at
the
all.
middle.
So
The 3rd lowest book I've ever read.
For Lauren, that's like -5.
That's
can't-
like really
I
bad.
can't account for how your poor rating works when you're handing out 5 stars like they're $1 bills. I can't tell you, but
I would like to go on record to state that when Lauren was really torn over whether or not we should do this book, I said multiple times, if you did not enjoy it, I don't think we should do it.
But I
'Cause
just
I
always
didn't wanna
responded
make you-
with, I knew you
I
would
know.
like it.
Yes, but I just want to state that I did not force Lauren to read this book a second time and talk about it for 6 weeks. This was a choice that
chained
she
to that
made.
chair for weeks.
That's fine, and I've enjoyed us, and I think these are some of our best episodes, and
I think so
we would
too.
have never had calcified, and we're gonna keep that forever.
True.
It's calcified
Well,
in
I
this
do
podcast.
think that like most of what Lauren and I didn't like about it the first time was because it's so rich and it's like a lot to understand, and we basically did read it by ourselves and we didn't understand it. And this second read through, like she and I have both said, has helped us be like, I get it, and enjoy it a little bit more now because of it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And I know there's a lot of comments we get too from people who are like, the podcast is helping me understand. Like, reading with people
I would
is so
definitely
nice.
recommend this book, but I would never recommend reading it alone.
No.
I would be like,
and
you gotta
definitely
find
not audio
someone.
only. Yes. I do think that reading it on the podcast has really made me enjoy it so much more too, because I am paying attention to all the tiny little details and making sure that I understand things as we go. And we're, every time we've had an episode, like there have been things that you guys have picked up on that I didn't on my first go around. So
It's
10
like
out
3
of 10 for me.
safety nets for information.
It is. Yeah.
All right. That takes us to the cry counter, where it is time to recrown the one, the only Con. I'm so excited for you. I have 1. The boys have 0, and Con has 5. Big old cries.
Think she'd
Where'd
like
you
to
go?
get her
She-
tiara
oh,
there.
there's the crowd.
Oh, there it is.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
You look so cute. Make that your
Thank you
thumbnail.
so much. Okay.
Love it.
Oh, man. Well, next week we'll be getting into the nittiest and grittiest of it all in a Q&A episode, as is per our tradition, where we will cover all the subjects we think need a little more attention, as well as any questions you lovelies send our way. After we're done guessing all that, we'll also be having a little sit-down chat with Sarah A. Parker herself in the flesh on a camera to congratulate us being such good readers and detectives, and let us know which theories may be worth an extra calcification, maybe. As always, join us on our Discord, where we have spoiler-free and spoiler-filled channels for you to talk with like-minded folks about this and any other series we've covered. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok for exclusive content, behind-the-scenes updates, podcast news, and merch drops.
And of course, head on over to betweenpagesandfriends.com for Patreon perks, our newsletter, and to get into Con's pants. Wait, not your pants.
Hey. Oh.
Not your pants.
Wait.
Con's
Whoa,
pants.
That's not what that says.
Not your pants. My pants. I mean,
Con with a
not
K.
our pants.
Wait a minute.
We're
Con
selling
is getting in
pants
your
now,
pants?
is what we're trying to say.
Con is getting in your pants.
We got pants.
Pants,
Come to
pants.
Between Pages and Friends.
Can we just sell pants that say like different book boyfriends, so you can say you've gotten in their pants? It says it's for Zan's
Oh my
pants,
God.
Con's pants.
Property of.
That's actually a great idea. Look at that.
Yes.
See?
The one
If I
cheek
hadn't
pants.
made that joke, we wouldn't have had that great idea.
So you can get into those pants over at betweenpagesandfriends.com.
That's right. For all your pants. Till then, stay wordy, stay nerdy, don't stress, and stay blessed. I read that one last week. I didn't rewrite
You
it.
did,
I
yeah.
was flying off the cuff of my pants.
Your
The
pants.
seat of your pants.
The cuff.
Cuff.
Yeah, the cuff
You're
of my
one cheek in
pants.
those pants.
Really one cheek in that one. I didn't pick either saying. I was
Yeah.
one cheek in both sayings.
You were.
What just
Good night,
happened?
everybody.
Bye.